It's faster than the DB5, as radical as the DS, and everyone loves it. Born in the 60s, exhibited at the Met, and it looks a bit, well, rude. It could only be the Jaguar E Type.
I think the E Type is sex on wheels.
It's like a beautiful lady. All the curves are in the right places.
Beautiful!
In both looks and performance, it was the most complete car of its time. Even now, most contemporary cars would have a hard time keeping up with it. The E Type is so much more than the sum of its parts. Just listen to it. And just look at it.
The shape makes me think of
A very sleek cucumber.
Not suggesting they were in any sense conscious that they were sculpting something which looks like a sexual diagram of a man, but certainly that was an element of the consumer's response to it. There's something about the orifice, there's something about the proportions which just frankly looks like an erect penis.
No. Manhoods were the last thing on Malcolm Sayer's mind when he styled the E-Type. In fact, we shouldn't call Mr. Sayer a stylist at all.
Sayer hated being referred to as a stylist or even a designer. He saw himself as an aerodynamicist, and the whole form, particularly the beautiful, bulging, curvaceous bonnet of the E-Type, is actually developed in accordance to airflow over the car.
Sayer's aerodynamic design is a direct progression from the legendary 3-time Le Mans winner, the Jaguar D-Type, which also had an amazing design, but the E-Type's was better.
Various points across the bonnet, I think it was up to about 10 points, were plotted across the car, laterally and what you might call vertically. And that calculation came up with a matrix of points that would facilitate perfect airflow across the form.
And Sayer plotted these 10 points mathematically. And he did this decades ahead of computer-aided design. There you go, kids. Geometry and algebra do have a purpose outside the classroom. Other than the huge, bulging, curvaceous body, there were plenty of other visual cues to leave the public in no doubt of the car's racing heritage.
A lot of the design elements of the car were developed for the racing track and then applied to the road car. For example, the triple windscreen wipers, the incorporation of the headlamps into the front bonnet.
So the E-Type certainly looked the part, but how did it perform? Amazingly. The car's 3.8-litre engine could push the car to 150 miles per hour.
Yes, it's a sports car, but you can drive it as comfortable and easy as a saloon. At the bottom end, you can drive it in top gear at 10 mile an hour, or then you can push it and you can do 140, 150 mile an hour.
The only other car comparable on the road was the Mercedes Gullwing, which the E-Type could literally drive off the road due to its new disc brakes and independent rear suspension. But where the Gullwing would fly off the road taking a sharp bend, the E-Type would stick to it. But the glorious thing about the E-Type was, it was a car for the people. Albeit very stylish, cool, swinging types of people. Because if you were a groovy hipster with $5,124 to spare, you too could buy your own E-Type.
No one thought it was going to be possible to make something so beautiful and so fine for such a relatively modest amount of money.
Here we were selling a car to the public, 150 mile an hour, at under £2,000.
So let's get this in perspective. At the time, an Aston Martin DB would cost you twice as much, and a Ferrari 3 times as much. The E-Type. It outperformed the supercars of its era. It was cheap-ish, once, and it is simply the most beautiful car ever made.
I think it is the absolute ultimate example of design, engineering, style, aspiration all coming together in a motor car. I do think it is simply the most beautiful car ever designed.